Take 15.
Hello and welcome to another Roundtable with BrotherlyGame.com. I'm Matt Ralph, editor of BrotherlyGame.com, and for the first time in 4 months, we had Philadelphia Union Soccer the other day. I'm joined by three people, a friend and a couple contributors to Brotherly Game. I'm going to go around. You guys can introduce yourself, and you can say why you're here, how you ended up getting roped into this today. So we'll start with you. We'll start with you, Nord.
Hi, I'm Norwood Cuff. I've been with the team since birth. I'm one of the founding members. Although I was always in the background, I wasn't out there. I was just being part of it, and I'm a fanatic at it. I went from 4 spots on the supporter side, the SOB side, the River side, down to being old now, down to 2 next to the supporting side, 2 seats. But I'm still there. I've been on the field with the flags, and it's fun. That's where I stand right now. Die hard.
Great. Well, appreciate you being here. Like I said, it's been a while since we've seen each other. I'm used to running into you on the concourse and chatting with you. Mickey, you're back again. You were with us for the last roundtable. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Mickey. I write about football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. I've been recently interested into getting into MLS more, so I got in touch with Matt, and here I am writing for Brotherly Game. Great,
thanks. Good to have you here, all the way from Egypt. Joe, you want to introduce yourself? You're no stranger to the website, but first time on the roundtable.
Yeah, I'm Joe. I've been writing for Brotherly Game for about a year now. I'm here because Matt texted me about 9 a.m. this morning and asked if I wanted to be here, so here I am.
Great. Well, thanks, Joe. It's good to have you here. And I always bug Joe about refereeing stuff because he's a referee and I don't really understand refereeing. So he's always very helpful with that and other questions I have as a middle-aged man about things. So appreciate you guys being here. I guess to start off with, Norwood, incredible display for the game. I feel like the story was the story before the game even started. What did you make of when you saw the players coming out and then you saw the backs of the jerseys and saw the names that they were wearing instead of their own?
All the teams were out there and they did that 9-minute salute. It blew my mind, but then again, I was hoping it would, since the Premier League already started it. They already wear Black Lives Matter on it, and they already have that out. I was just hoping that the U.S. would get into it, and they did. And it's for a lot of people that don't realize the meaning of it. That's the thing about it. I talk to people, and that's the main thing of having a dialogue with people that don't understand it. Being a man of color, I can help somebody through that situation, why it's happening, and now, and how it is. And I'm proud to know that by this time, it's finally coming out. If there's any questions on why is happening, that's all you do is just ask. Instead of going around, a lot of people go around and say, look at them, look at this, look at that, look at this. They want this, they want that. It's not all about wanting privilege. It's just the fact that we want to be equal. And to see that, and until that, you're going to see all kinds of things. And I guess it's time that it's happening to find out that people of color are what they go through just to be who we are. We don't want any special privileges, although some think that we do want special privileges. We just want to be equal. Really great.
Powerful statement in that. Now, Mickey, you were in on some of the post-game stuff. What did you make of it?
I love the idea. I loved also the fact that each player took a personal name and just made it personal with him, and whoever the victim was. I remember asking Warren after the game about the gesture itself. You know, like there's been the fist, there's been the knee, there's been celebrations, there's been like hashtags and like stuff on the t-shirts and all that. And I asked him, you know, was that not enough? You know, was it not enough as gesture? Did you feel that something else had to be done? And of course he was like yes, and I definitely agree with him. You know, we touched upon this a little bit last time we spoke, and just like Norwood was saying earlier, there's a part that you need to educate people about. You know, you can talk about all of this, you know, but you have to go and you have to dig deeper. You have to make it personal. It's not a trend again, and then we're gonna keep saying it. It's not just a trend. You know, it is something that needs to happen. It is a change that needs to take place. And seeing these players doing something different just proves how much change needs to happen.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Joe, you know, what was your response when you realized that they weren't wearing their regular names on the backs of their jersey?
I thought it was really cool because it took a second to register like what these names are, and I like looked down the list of names. I'm like, okay, these names are all familiar. I know like these names. I know who these people are. I think one of the coolest things that I heard was, I forget who said it, but somebody said that the white players who picked their names learned about the people whose names they selected through an anti-racism like kind of class or meeting, which I thought was really cool that they held. Because you know it's important to learn what all this stuff is about. I'm just really proud of the team because they're not afraid to take a stand. You know, Bedoya has obviously never been silent. These guys have never been silent. We've got like 3 players on the team who lead the Black Players for Change. I think it's just really cool overall how they're making a change.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Ray Gaddis is, I mean, these are things we've known about these people, right? Ray Gaddis has always been very outspoken about his faith, about who he is. And, you know, Ali, as you mentioned, always very, very outspoken. I mean, grabbing a mic on the field to talk about, call on Washington for, you know, about gun violence and about making changes to that. And, you know, and, you know, one of the interesting things was when Andre Blake talked with media yesterday. You know, Andre is a little more soft-spoken player. I mean, you always see him, you know, you often see him after the games praying with Ray Gaddis, and you see, you know, him kind of being that kind of quiet leader. And, you know, so he's not someone who's been at the forefront of this movement, but, you know, he's someone who wore George Floyd on his back of his jersey, and he had arguably one of his best games in a Union uniform, and it was really a big reason why they won, which is a good segue into actual soccer. Norwood, what did you think of getting to see this team play after 4 months? You know, just about 4 months to the day since that LAFC game, late night into early morning Monday, all those months ago.
I enjoyed it. Naturally, I'm sitting there. I had my "Don't Tread on Me" shirt on, and it was neat because I'm watching their big Tron up there, and I accidentally said, "What am I doing up there?" But it was neat. I enjoyed it. It showed it started off kind of typical Union, starting off kind of sluggish, but they got into it later on in the game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Naturally, when they got that goal, I said, well, now we have to wait until the last 10 minutes because for some reason we always lose it out in the last few minutes.
Wow.
But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
How important do you think it was for the Union to start off with a win and a shutout against NYCFC, which, you know, was kind of one of the top teams in the league last year? A lot of people thought they still could top the group out of Group A.
Yeah, you know, when we spoke to Ali before the game, and we asked him whether he feels confident that he was going to win the game, he said, of course, you know, And in these kind of tournaments, even if you don't get the best start, you can eventually, keep on going and get a good result out of the competition. But they got the 3 points. I think it's all thanks to Andre Blake. The amount of chances, at least until Ali's goal, everything was New York's side. I got a couple of scares every time, New York got there. I was like, okay, so if they lose on their first game, we're going to get to the press conference. Jim is not going to be in a good mood. No one's going to be in a good mood. Philadelphia needs to win today. So, but eventually, Blake kept saving, and I was very happy, honestly. And yeah, I was looking at the stats earlier. Everything was going New York's way. The only thing Union's way was the fouls, 10 fouls, and the yellow cards, 3, and the saves, which were 7. Anything else was on the other side for New York. More shots, more attempts, they were the more dangerous. But, Mourinho once said, you don't have to be the better side to win the game. And they did get the 3 points, and that's all they needed.
Yeah, I think they were definitely better than the stats would tell in terms of the story, because they did defend a lot, and I think they intended to defend a lot just because of the circumstances. And I think late was when they got the goal. That's when they kind of showed their readiness, their preparation, their fitness, and I never really got the sense that they were going to fall behind. I was worried there was going to be an equalizer, certainly, but I never really thought that the New York was going to take a lead. And then obviously Ali, I mean, the guy just scores big goals, right? I mean, Joe, what'd you make of the game, and what did you what was kind of you already wrote 3 takeaways, but if you want to elaborate on that, or just what you thought was important about them just starting out with a win against NYC instead of what would have been a late, demoralizing draw if they had conceded late there.
That I was objectively surprised that they got a win. Ali's goal wasn't something like beautiful. It was something that Johnson could have saved. I didn't think that once he scored, we were going to lose, because nobody was scoring 2 goals. For most of the game, New York City looked like they had the upper hand. They had better possession, better shot. The goal turned it around, but they do have a habit of dropping the ball the last 17 minutes. It was a really slow game. It wasn't something that I got too excited about. They played good defense, but it's just too slow for me to be totally confident in the future. Andre Blake saved their asses, but both teams are rusty, so it'll be interesting to see how they come back against Miami.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've said repeatedly through this transition from being so Union, for lack of a better term, where it was always like there was always an excuse, right? Well, if the ref hadn't called that foul, then the Union would have won, or if he had made that shot, if Nogueira hadn't hit the post, they'd have a trophy, right? But it seems like there's always been excuses, right? But I think the transition of what this team has happened is they've become the team where the other team makes excuses, right? So yes, it wasn't their best game, but they pulled off a win that good teams pull off, right? And so NYC was the team saying, well, if this would have happened or that would have done, we would have won. And so I think that's something that I think is definitely a positive takeaway from the experience. Moving ahead, Norwood, what are you looking forward to besides not looking forward to the next morning watching whatever time this game ends? I mean, if there's another thunderstorm, we could be looking at even later start time than 10 whatever it's going to be, 10:45, 10:47. What are you looking forward to?
All depends, like he said. All depends on how up they are, and watching the game last night, the late game last night that went until almost 12 o'clock, the tired factor set in. And I'm just hoping that tired factor don't set in. Even though last night they were playing with 10 players because the goalie got kicked out. The coach didn't sub when he should have subbed, but I'm just hoping our game coming up, they have that strength and that power to keep it up, and the coach, and he just uses his men wisely to keep that strength up. I think it's all going to be down to strength and ability to stay up for the whole game.
You know, Inter Miami still some question marks about them just because they're, you know, a new team that's only played 3 games now. Mickey, what have you seen or heard of Inter Miami? What do you think the Union need to do to kind of keep this train rolling after the 3 points against NYC?
I think for me, the first challenge is going to be watching a game at 4:30 a.m. That's going to be something. But then, just Inter Miami, they have an exciting concept, with Beckham coming in and the way they've tried to, include everyone and then make it quite a inclusive soccer community. That's all exciting, but then what's on the pitch is on the pitch. Philly, and I can be wrong here because I'm not in the country and I wouldn't be the best one to judge. But I think it would be fair to say that Philly's come to this tournament with so much motivation, with so much drive. Inter Miami, I don't think they built this relationship with their city or with their community or with a certain fan base. That said, you also have their I mean, it's quite a short form, but it's not a good one as well. They've only won 1 game, and that was a friendly. They haven't won any game in any competitions. They've only scored 2 goals, I think, so far. It hasn't been impressive, but there isn't much to judge from as well at the same time. That said, I'm looking forward to the Union. That they come with great confidence. 3 points, you can always start that. I think they've got great support behind them. And just like you were mentioning earlier, Matt, the relationship and the bond in this team is just amazing. It is literally so much more than just a squad or a team, like we would say in a cliche way.
Joe, one of the things Jim Curtin talked about yesterday was that they weren't really good off set pieces defending. They weren't good off a throw-in defending. They weren't great coming out of the water breaks. I think you may have alluded to that. Someone did. What do you think where do you think they need to be better to get a result against Inter Miami? I mean, and do you think it's more about them, how they play and how they perform, or is it more about just like how if Inter Miami shows up, or if they get calls for Pizarro falling over in the box or whatever?
I think the weak point right now, as great as a game, I think the whole team had a solid game against New York City. Miami's a very winnable game. That strong on Thursday night or Wednesday night, whenever their first game was. I think the back line will have to step up and not leave a lot of grunt work to Blake. But as long as they can get shots on goal, as long as they can last 90 minutes against Miami, they'll be pretty good. Because Miami, they look strong for the first half of the game, 60 minutes of the game, and then they just started dropping off. So as long as you can keep your stamina up throughout the whole match and play consistent 90, 100, 105 minutes, I think you're in pretty good shape.
All right, well, guys, I appreciate you joining me. One last thought from each of you. It could be just anything Union related or otherwise. Norwood, anything else to add to the conversation for today?
I just look to the Union. The Union does look pretty powerful. The guys on there, Erickson, he has a little more age to himself on the field and on the age side. I remember him when he first came in. he was always getting bumped around. They always knocked him down. He always get pushed around and everything like a little kid, little 18-year-old kid smacked around. But he's coming into his own. I think we're going to have a good team this year. The way it looks, they had to solidify a little bit better. But the main thing about their night game is going to be stamina. If they can keep up the stamina, if they can keep it up, getting up early that day and staying up instead of getting that rest they need for that night is going to be a key.
I appreciate it. Mickey, anything else to add?
Definitely, the fitness is going to be a challenge, with the weather and everything. Hopefully, considering it's going to be in the night, it could be less hard for the players and little slightly better conditions. One thing I'm really excited to see, is just seeing this team just get more comfortable around the pitch. Seeing Brendan Aronson just go around making his usual dribbles, making troubles for the defenders. Just seeing the fullbacks up there more, and respecting less the opponent. We've seen a win, but I'll be looking forward to a more comfortable win, to a win in style, should we say, something that will be also enjoyable to watch. But yeah, I feel that they're building quite a momentum, starting the goal from Ali, and I think they'll keep building this. And
Thanks, Mickey. I'm going to give you the final word, Joe, on this roundtable. Take it away. Take us out.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I'd like to see against Miami, and I don't know what the status of the players who were out against New York City is, but Sergio Santos, I'd like to see him back on the field. Ilsinho didn't really look comfortable in the striker position. I'd like to see him back on as the sub coming in the 60th minute or something. I'd like to see them kind of return to their normal, because I think that's a system that works. I think that once they get that under control and they're able to build stamina under that system, I think they're a much better team and they've got a far better chance in this tournament.
Absolutely, yeah. I think last Jim said yesterday Sergio Santos should be available for selection. We'll see if that's in the starting lineup, but certainly the big talking point out of that game was not having Sergio, not having Andrew Wooten, and not having Michi Nicolina. Fontana's not really a striker you sub off the bench. He's an attacking player who can run around, basically do anything you need him to do off the bench. But hopefully they'll be a little bit better shape with Sergio available. Wooten's a little bit not quite there. He hasn't returned to training fully yet, and then Michi is questionable as well. So it'll be a fun night, fun late night, hopefully, or early morning for Mickey. Thanks again for joining me, guys. This has been another Roundtable with BrotherlyGame.com. Be sure to tune in. Check out the website for all of our continued coverage of MLS's back tournament, as long as it's still a thing and they're still playing in Florida. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you all next time.